Well, hello there. In this video, I intend to describe what is objectively the best horror films of 2018. It's not up for debate, it's not subjective. These just literally are the best horror films of 2018. It's science. Number 1, The Nun. In this film, a young nun in Romania, I can't even get through it. I can't even get through it. What is the matter with you? Why would I pick The Nun? You think I'd actually pick a movie whose villain is less scary than an actual nun? Like, have you ever been slapped in the wrist with a ruler by a nun? Makes Valak seem like Valium. Anyway, here are my actual top list of horror films for 2018. And look, I'm only gonna give you my top 5. It's 2018, you and I just don't have time for that. It's not like I have time to sit here and do an hour and 20-minute analysis of a film. It's not like I've ever done that before. Number 5. Unsane. Unsane is about a young woman who relocates from Boston to Pennsylvania to escape from a stalker. And while consulting with her therapist, the young woman unwittingly signs up for a voluntary 24-hour commitment to a behavioral center where the doctors and nurses begin to question her sanity once she believes that one of the staffers there is her stalker. So this movie's really well done. You can really feel the slipping away and sort of the questioning of this young woman's sanity throughout the movie. Is it really her stalker there that's at the facility, or is she just nuts? It's one of those movies. There's some very intense moments, great acting. The camera work, though, is what really makes this movie stand out. It was entirely shot on an iPhone in 10 days, which is pretty nuts. Number 4, The Night Eats the World. The Night Eats the World is about a man named Sam who wakes up in an apartment the night after a raging party in Paris, only to find a world where zombies have invaded the city. And for all intents and purposes, it looks like he's the lone survivor, and so he barricades himself inside the apartment building to survive. Now that sounds like the opening to quite a few other zombie films. I mean, hell, even The Walking Dead has a similar opening. So does 28 Days Later. But this movie's a little different. This movie is not about so much surviving the zombies, it's about surviving solitude. It's all about isolation, the fight against silence, and the mental decay of quarantine. The zombies in this movie, if left unprovoked, are silent. They don't drone or moan or slather about outside all loud if they're left unprovoked. So the streets of Paris in this movie really are utterly silent. And so is the apartment that Sam has barricaded himself into. And so there becomes this agoraphobic element to the film that's somewhat unique. It's definitely a slow burner. There's some very intense moments. It's still a zombie film after all. But it's a very sorrowful film that focuses on seclusion and seclusion in a backdrop of really what should be a bustling city. I mean, here he has like an entire apartment complex worth of food and water and weapons and shelter, and he has time, lots of time, years of time even, but no one else. It's like that Alanis Morissette song, Ironic. It's like 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife. Like, he's just craving, at a certain point, human interaction. And I like this movie because the zombies were sort of secondary. Like, the film had something else to say, but it used zombies as the vehicle to do that. And those are the sorts of horror films that I tend to dig. Number 3, Annihilation. Annihilation is about a group of military scientists who enter what is called the Shimmer, which consequently was my nickname in college for reasons I'm definitely going to leave unexplained. Anyway, the Shimmer is like this mysterious quarantine zone of mutating landscapes and transforming creatures. DNA is all fucked up in the Shimmer. Things get mixed that shouldn't be mixed. Particularly with bears. There is a scene with a bear in this movie that will not leave you. Now, being the ultra-left level 5 cuck feminist that I am, I enjoyed the fact that all of the protagonists in this film are female. All of the main scientists who go to investigate the Shimmer in this movie are women. Like, usually you see these big-ass, beefy marine grunts going in, blowing shit up, and asking questions later. This group, however, asks questions first. Now, granted, they're not the first team to go into the Shimmer. In fact, the first team that went into the Shimmer were those big, beefy ass grunts. But I think somewhere in there, that may have been some of the social commentary in the movie. There's a bit of a critique of our own proclivity for self-destruction. It reminded me a little bit of The Arrival, in that sense. Like, it's a very intelligent and philosophical film. I mean, it still has that traditional, people in the woods getting picked off one by one sort of thing, but it's also a pretty cerebral movie. It's an intelligent film and a scary film at the same time, and it's always good when those two things can be combined. Number 2, The Endless. This is about as close as we've gotten to like a legitimately good H.P. Lovecraft film. Not that this is an actual story from H.P. Lovecraft, but it has that kind of dreamlike atmosphere, cosmic dread shit down to a T. There's a layer of surreality to what otherwise is just a fairly basic story. The film follows two brothers who have left a religious cult a decade ago and who now live a pretty lackluster existence. Their life isn't really all that exciting. They're pretty much just cleaning houses all day. And then after receiving a video in the mail from one of the cultists, the brothers decide to go back and visit the cult. You know, to see what's up. See if the Kool-Aid's still red. Know what I'm saying? But when they get there, everyone looks healthy and happy, and nobody appears to have aged much. Is something up with time, perhaps? And then other weird shit starts happening. Like when you throw a ball up into the air, it doesn't come back down. Strange. And the cult's favorite game appears to be tug of war with the night sky. Because, you know, that's not a metaphor for anything. You know, throwing a rope into an endless void and fighting as it pushes and pulls you back, nothing symbolic about that at all. But there's a reason for all of this weirdness in the film. Something is lurking in the background. Something beyond. So, totally dug this movie. Well worth your time. Number 1. Hereditary. So my co-host and I actually did a full analysis of this movie, which you can check in the description of this video. Chances are, if you're an avid horror film watcher, you've already seen Hereditary. If not, like, hold on to your ass, because it's traumatic. Basically, when the matriarch of the Graham family passes away, her daughter, Annie, and her grandchildren begin to unravel cryptic and increasingly terrifying secrets about their ancestry, trying to outrun the sinister fate that they have inherited. And man, is it a terrible fate. In fact, that's kind of what the movie's about. Fate. Fate within the context of familial trauma. The passing on of it to the next generation. I mean, honestly, Hereditary to me is horror at its finest. I could go on just like forever for why this movie is phenomenal. In fact, I did in our analysis. But I'll just point you to that analysis because I think it deserves a full unpacking. I don't want to sit here and give it a 30-second treatment. It truly is the best horror film of the year, in my opinion. Suffice it to say that Toni Collette should probably win an Oscar for her performance in that movie. I mean, the range of human emotion in Hereditary that has to be portrayed by her character is astounding. The movie is intelligent. It is deeply atmospheric. It is visceral at times. It's just intense as fuck. Hands down the best horror film of the year by far. So that is my definitive, scientifically accurate, cannot argue with it at all, list of best horror films of the year. And no, A Quiet Place did not make it on this list. Look, if a hearing aid can destroy aliens from outer space, there's no reason why they should have taken over the planet to begin with. Sorry, it actually isn't that bad of a movie, but not my top 5. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check us out on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we'll see you next time. Peace.